be sparking and rushing, mad like inside the dark. Call me Bill Snatcher, just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my psyche.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the manga, and for anime only fans, this is the time of the month where a lot of the content that we talk about here on the channel is gonna be spoiler heavy. So before you get out of here, make sure you hit that like button, because hitting the like button costs you absolutely nothing, and most importantly, hitting the like button will stop Himawari from crying. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate the idea of Himawari crying, and ever since Naruto's lost the power of the Nine Tails, Himawari has been crying non-stop, and the only way to stop Himawari from crying is to hit that like button. So make sure to hit the like button and tell all your friends to hit the like button as well. So with all that being said, if you're still here, I'm assuming you guys are all caught up with the manga and you do not care about speculative theories that are based off stuff that takes place in the manga. So getting right into it, I want to talk to you guys about a scenario that one of my lovely patrons wanted me to discuss, which is, what are the chances that Naruto is going to fight against Code? And I'm gonna say I do think that there is a pretty significant chance that either Naruto or Sasuke is gonna fight against Code. And I'm gonna even go a step further and say that I think that while Sasuke is out there, I think that there's maybe a possibility that Naruto is going to go out there and fight more so than Sasuke, simply for the fact that Boruto, when he left the village, he had already told Naruto, like, yo, these Jonin that you got watching us, they're trash. Kawaki has already left the village. I don't know what kind of sensory stuff they're doing, but it ain't working. This man erased his chakra. He pulled an okie-doke on you guys, and Boruto gives Naruto the opportunity to make the right choice. Naruto's still collecting information and delegating everything, and Boruto's like, I don't have time for this. He runs out the village, and he's basically banking on the fact that because he's using ninjutsu and chakra, that Ino and the rest of that division will be able to trace his chakra and they'll be able to relay his coordinates to Naruto. And he's just banking on the fact that Naruto's going to show up. And the way that Masashi Kishimoto writes is, a lot of times he'll do subtle things, but he also will telegraph big fights before they happen. And I do feel like he is telegraphing Code versus Naruto. I think that is a huge telegraph. The same way that Code versus Kawaki was something that was built up as far back as chapter 55, I think there's a strong possibility that Naruto's going to show up, and it makes more sense for Naruto to be able to do it than Sasuke. The only way Sasuke's going to show up is if he's in the general vicinity, which I'm not ruling that out. Hell, I'm not even ruling out the possibility of Naruto and Sasuke ganging up on Code, and we see that Code, once he uses the Karma Seal, it's just a different animal and leads us to near death. I'm not ruling that out, but what I am saying is that a one-on-one battle, Sasuke would have to be in the area and sense Boruto's chakra or have his Sharingan active, and he's able to see the chakra color signature that belongs to Boruto and just make a beeline for it. I think you have a greater chance of Ino saying, hey, Boruto's left the village. Naruto, you got to go after him. And Naruto just shows up and he's got Sage Mode active, and we see Sage Mode Naruto against Code. And I think that this is something that does work from a narrative perspective, because Code right now is not only in the territory that Naruto has to protect, which is he's in Land of Fire territory. He's just outside of the Hidden Leaf Village, but also Code wants revenge on the people he viewed as being responsible for Ishiki's death. Naruto played a very big role in that. I know Kawaki says, like, hey, I'm the one that killed Ishiki, leave everybody out of it. Code wants Naruto's head on a silver platter. Code wants to put Naruto's head on a spike the same way that Ned Stark got his head put on a spike in Game of Thrones. So it's one of those things where that bloodlust is going to be there. And because Code is beating up Naruto's adopted son in Kawaki, and he's probably gonna shove a bear claw all the way up Boruto's behind as well, it's one of those things to where when Naruto shows up, he's gonna be enraged. And in the manga, they've been teasing a fight for Naruto. Amado is saying it's impossible to calculate how much power Naruto's lost since he's lost the power of the Nine Tails, and he says that if Code and Naruto were to get into it now, there's a very strong possibility that Naruto would not be able to come out on top the same way he did against Delta. It's almost implied that Code can kill him, but then on the flip side, you have Code, and the manga is kind of writing Code as he's not sure if he can beat Naruto 1v1 right now, and he doesn't want to end up in the same situation as Delta. So that's why I always say I feel like Naruto's on a sliding scale in terms of power, just off of those two statements right there, of Code being apprehensive to fight 1v1 and Naruto, by Amado's admittance, being still very powerful, but being unable to put a quantifiable number on his power at this point. So if we have Naruto versus Code, Naruto's going to be in a very tricky situation because Code has those claw marks all over the battlefield, but Naruto also has shadow clones. So now you can have shadow clones be the counter to Code's claw marks, because Code would have to be popping out at each and every one of those claw marks and doing ranged attacks using the claw marks, and Naruto can just keep spamming shadow clones. And for anybody that's wondering, Naruto's chakra pool without Kurama is high enough that if he wanted to, he could do 1,000 shadow clones, but because of how the manga is drawn, you're not going to see 1,000 plus shadow clones. It's probably going to be something like the Naruto versus Jigen battle, where when Naruto and Sasuke fought Jigen in the manga, you only saw Naruto use 3 or 4 shadow clones. It's probably going to be something very similar like that. But Naruto using Sage mode, now all of a sudden, if Code is coming out of those different claw marks, Naruto has Sage mode, so he should be able to sense it. And this will be another opportunity for us to see just how much power Naruto has left. Does Naruto still have access to the chakra from the other 8 Biju? If so, if Code has an advantage, you could see Naruto use Bull Release the same way they used against Kaguya, as long as the gap in power is not so huge that it renders Bull Release useless like it would have done against Jigen and Ishiki. You could see him use Bull Release to briefly level the playing field against Code or outright overpower him. You could also see Naruto use the One Tail's chakra to use the magnet release Rasengan to potentially seal Code's movements. You could see a lava star Rasen Shuriken like he did against Delta. So if Naruto has access to that Biju chakra, you can start seeing Naruto use that, and that would be a huge indicator for how much power Naruto still has. The same thing if he goes into battle and Naruto is in Sage mode, but you don't see any pigment on his eyes, then we have an indication that he's in Sage's 6-pass mode, which is going to be interesting because 6-pass Sage mode is indicated by no pigment on the eyes, but also toad slats and fox slits. As a reminder, basic Sage mode has the orange pigmentation above the black outline of the eye, and it stretches just below the eyebrow. KCM2 has that Sage mode as well. KCM2 uses regular Sage mode and it still has that pigment that stretches just below his eyebrow. 6-pass Sage mode is what he used in base when he was fighting against Madara, and when you see that, he had no pigmentation on his eye. And what Naruto would do after that was he would just stack QB chakra mode on top of that. Right now, Naruto can't use QB chakra mode for obvious reasons, but if we see Naruto with no pigmentation, now all of a sudden he has 6-pass Sage mode, and that comes with very heightened sensory abilities. We saw that Naruto was able to sense Madara's limbo clones even though they're in a different dimension. So it opens up the door for a potentially overpowered battle between Naruto and Code, and the whole time that you would be reading this is a situation where you know in the back of your mind, if Naruto would have had the power of Kurama, the fight would have been over. And I think that's where the nerfing of Naruto and Sasuke really works, because we've seen them at their peak and now we're having to watch them make do without that power that they relied on for the last 16 years, and that really adds to the conflict. So what I want to know from you guys is, if Naruto had to fight against Code right now, who do you think would come out on top? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until then. Have an awesome day, guys.